Hello, welcome to All of the Above, where we talk about spirituality, healing modalities, energy, intuitive development, the mystical, and any and everything related to spiritual awakening. My name is Meredith, and I'm so excited that you're here and to jump into today's episode. Hi, welcome back to All the Above. Thank you, as always, for being here. Today, I'm so honored to share this conversation with Jessica Diana. Jessica is a psychic, a medium, a channel, a Reiki healer, a spiritual mentor, among many other things. She's also just an incredible, beautiful soul. And she shares her journey from the corporate world to fully embracing and stepping into her spiritual gifts and her healing journey. And we go into so many stories of how powerful this work is. And she shares so many inspiring messages for anyone wanting to make a transition or just called to the spiritual path. It's a really beautiful episode, and let's just get right into it. It's so good. Okay, thank you as always for being here. I love you, and we'll see you in there. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for being here and joining me. It's such an honor to have you here. I'll give a little backstory on how we connected originally. We both have studied Reiki with Jules Davis, incredible teacher, and we were in a psychic sit-up circle, development circle, doing psychic and mediumship practice. And I think it was our last class that we were randomly paired together.
Yeah.
And you just brought through, you were doing a reading for me, and it was just mind blowing, where I was moved to tears, where it was just this divine feminine essence coming through. And you said such specific, beautiful things and messages that were just wild. And then we've connected and stayed in touch and are in the same training right now, studying trance channeling and doing readings. So it's been such a beautiful journey getting to know you. And it's really an honor again to have you here.
Same. Thank you for having me so much. It's been like a full circle. I was thinking about that earlier before we came on. A beautiful journey in terms of how we connected. And then you told me about the next training and I quickly jumped on it. And it's like we've been like just kind of keeping in contact and yeah, and just supporting each other as well. So it's been beautiful.
I'd love for you to share a little bit about your story and how you started doing this work. And I know a bit about this, but I know it's probably a long story, but whatever bits and pieces you'd like to share for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So, about 3 years ago, I was in May around this time. I was in a corporate job, in a corporate role, and it was actually a little earlier, like March of 2023. I told my husband, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I need to quit my job. November comes, and I'm going to quit and I'm going to eat, pray, love because I was going through a lot of health issues. I have a chronic illness that's called fibromyalgia, and it was really flaring up. And I wasn't fully understanding everything that was going on in my body, but I had an inkling or my intuition or God, source energy telling me that I needed to take time off because I've worked for at that point almost 30 years without like ever like fully taking a break. And so I put that out into the universe like March of 2023. June comes around and they're like, yeah, you know, you're gonna like get let go. Your last day is like August 3rd. Here is like 3 months severance. Here is like 3 months of insurance. Here's all the things that I was like, I'm gonna wait till November because I want to save enough money to leave. And like I was already given that from the universe. I mean, like I already kind of unlocked whatever was going on to really like step into this work, but I didn't know I was like stepping into this work. During that time, my last day in my corporate job was August 3rd. Before that, before I knew that I was leaving, I was like looking at this retreat that I really wanted to attend, this healing, and it was called Women Who Heal Retreat. And something was like calling me to go to this retreat, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't have enough PTO days. Like I don't know how it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen, and it was going on at the end of August. So once I found out that I was like, my last day was August 3rd. I like already like booked my retreat. I was like, this is happening. And I had really clear instructions to the universe and to my husband that I was taking 4 months off and for nobody to bother me. Don't ask me to do anything. Don't ask me to do this. Like, I just need to focus on whatever I'm being guided to. And I really had no idea. My human didn't have an idea of what was going on. At that retreat, I kept hearing, like, you need to learn how to do Reiki. And as you know, we both learned through Jules. You learned Karuna, I think, through her, right?
Just Karuna,
Okay.
yeah.
So I learned Holy Fire. So something was like, okay, you need to learn how to do Reiki, and it's not going to be just for you. It's going to start off just for you, but it's going to be something that you weave in, but you're not going to just be like a Reiki master. Like the gifts are going to all come online, everything is going to come on. And I just didn't understand. Because as spiritual as I am, I've been connecting, and we can get into all of that, like since a very young age. And I've always been highly spiritual, but I never really thought my spiritual gifts could be used in this way because I still kind of was living in the programming and the matrix of my muggle, as I call it, my muggle job.
I love that so much.
So during that time, I decided, okay, I'm gonna still give myself the 4 months because I just left corporate August 3rd. I'm like at this retreat the end of August. I give myself time to really settle in to listen to myself and listen to my intuition and come back to my body because my body was really flaring up. So during that time, I started to research like who I wanted to train with, and I interviewed a bunch of people, and I ended up landing, and especially different lineages of Reiki. And I always say Reiki found me. Like I didn't find it, like it found me. And I ended up like, okay, I want to learn Holy Fire Reiki because it doesn't use my energy. And I already know I'm highly sensitive, I'm an empath, like I have a chronic illness that impacts my energy. Like I need to learn something that I can remove myself from the situation. And then secondly, I was like, but who's going to be my mentor and who's going to be my teacher? So I really loved and was gravitated to our teacher because she's also a psychic medium. And I always knew that I was a psychic and a medium. And it was actually like my psychic mediumship gifts are a lot stronger than my healing gifts. Not that they're not as strong, but I understand now that I needed to go on this journey to learn healing first because I needed to work on healing myself and opening up my channel. So then my psychic and mediumship gifts can be supportive, not only for myself, but for my clients to be grounded also, that I wasn't just like in the ethers and living in the cosmos, but also living in this human experience, which I love so much about being a human is getting to live in this body. And I gotta say, and I don't know, I feel like we've spoken about this a little bit, but one of the things that happened during those Reiki transmissions is that when you're getting those placements and attunements, like my channel just opened up even more than what I thought was even possible.
It's
And
wild.
right, like it's just like I didn't even think that like all that was gonna happen. And so I learned, so I literally took every step of my life, mind you. What I did before for work, I was an events and project manager, and then I did diversity work and corporate social responsibility. So it was a lot of projections, it was a lot of mapping and a lot of planning. I decided to surrender. I decided to just live each day as I woke up, like, what does my soul want to do today? Like, what am I gonna do today? And like didn't have like any expectations of what the journey was gonna look like. So 4 months come, I'm a Reiki 1 and 2. I become a Reiki master after some time. And my husband's like, so what about that corporate job? Like, are you going to go back? Like, what's going on? Um, but during that time, I think it was like 4 months from that was like at the end of the year, January, I started partnering with my cousin who's been a yoga educator for about 10, 12 years. And him and I started collaborating on events where we were fusing yoga practices along with, he also became a sound healer with sound and energy work. So him and I, for the past now going on 3 years, have been doing these events around the full moon. So I just started kind of like getting myself into the world. Like, I'm going to introduce myself. I've been meditating for 20 years. I've been dancing my whole life, even before I can even walk. So, embodiment, somatic practices, and also I studied human behavior in university. So, I started kind of weaving in all these beautiful pieces about like my past, like muggle jobs or like building community, listening to humans, understanding how they behave, and also applying all these beautiful energetic tools to kind of that experience. The wild ride was that I did a podcast 3 years ago. It's going to be 3 years in December. And they asked me, so what's next, Jessica? Like, what are you gonna do next? I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna take some time to integrate like everything I've learned. They're like, what about your psychic mediumship gifts? And I'm like, no, like no. If like a loving grandmother pops in, like I would always give like any Reiki energy work. I would, if something would come through as a mediumship, I would share the message, and I've done this my whole life. But I was like, me, a psychic medium, like it was my greatest fear, but it has been my greatest gift,
Oh,
and I know that now. So long, like, I mean, I can go on and on, but that's kind of what the journey was like, was just listening to the whispers, listening to my higher self, and it allowing it to guide me to this work that I'm doing now, which we can get
so
into.
beautiful. Oh my gosh. So many things coming up there. And I also just want to acknowledge how beautiful it is to have such a supportive partner during all of this and your husband. And that just feels so powerful to have that,
Yeah,
just allowing you to take the time you need and to explore and surrender.
I love that. Yeah, it did. Like I mean, we've been together a really long time, and at first, I think he was very supportive. He never questioned me, but and we can maybe talk about this further, but he was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
Like he knew I was spiritual, he knew I was psychic, he knew I was highly
Mm.
intuitive, like he knew that I was into healing and human behavior and the subconscious. I've studied dream works my whole life. But he didn't realize that the level that I was being guided to step into, which even myself, I'm still like amazed as to like what has transpired in these last 3 years.
I totally relate. I feel like my husband and your husband could have a chat about
Yeah,
all
like
of
he's
that.
in now, but he was at first like, what is going on?
Yeah, I think my husband's still a
Curious,
little bit
right?
like that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Um, and I love how it's always been a theme in your life too, that you always knew you were a psychic medium.
Mhm.
I'd love to hear if you have any, like, do you have a first memory when you were, or something prominent that you want to share or would like to? Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like at the age of 5 is as like I can remember my earliest memories of it. And I would always be hearing, sensing, feeling, listening to things that were outside of what we can see in our human experience. And I would have this reoccurring dream of my mother at the age of 5, and I would have it for many years, where I was sitting on a bench in a park and she would be floating in front of me in this like white dress with wings. And I would have that reoccurring dream, and then I would always remember seeing angelic beings. That's been my strongest connection. I think we've spoken about this, like my connection to angel work, my connection to consciousness and universal consciousness started around 5. When I was about 11 years old, between 9 and 11, my mother, we grew up Catholic in our home, and very like ancestrally, like for many generations Catholic. My mom was going through her own awakening probably and figuring out how she belongs in the religious structure. So from ages 9 to 11, we stepped out of the Catholic Church, and my mother started to explore other forms of religion, Christianity, Jehovah Witness, and a few other ones. At the age of 11, I saw so many different things, and I there was just something in my spirit. At the age of 11, this is what I understood. Now looking back, I understand it a lot deeper. I told my mom, like, all the religions talk bad about each other, but if I am a person of God, like, why am I going to hell? And like, why are all these things like I am just a reflection of him, and I talk to God all the time. Like, I'm no longer going to be religious. Like, I know you're on your own path, but I talk to God all the time. And so I'm just going to explore spirituality. I didn't use spirituality as a word, but like I'm just going to connect to God directly. Now I know, looking back, I'm like, yeah, I've already had that connection open. Um I think there are times, especially like I'm a little older than you, that generationally the programming of sticking to a traditional job and not really following my intuition and my creativity I think stifled a lot of how my actual journey led me. But I always stayed very spiritual in terms of understanding energies. I would, my friends would always come to me to like help them like figure things out. There are things that I told my friends at like our very young age that ended up coming true. I would have dreams about people having babies, and I would so it was like all these things, all these psychic mediumship things that would come up. And then like I really took notice of that like when I was a teenager. And then like every 5 or 6 years it would activate and get my attention, but then I would like put it back away. So in my early 20s, I lived with my best friend for a while, and something was going on in our apartment. Our doorbell never rang, never worked. And every time I was home alone, the doorbell would ring, and I would go downstairs and I would open the door, and there would be nobody there. So it was happening so much that I ended up speaking to a friend of mine, her friend, and she was more in tune with the spirituality of it. And she's like, I think, Jessica, someone is looking for you from the other side and is looking at your light. And so she taught me protection. And I feel a lot of us that step into psychic mediumships, when we don't fully understand what's going on, we step into more protective, like how do we protect ourselves from the energy? But in reality, if you're ritualizing your life and you're living your life in a certain way, you don't need to, like, yes, there's dark forces out there. Like, I'm not a love and light kind of person. Like, there's dark things out there, but if you're walking a certain path, you can continue doing that path. So that's kind of what it started. So in my 20s, I started developing my psychic mediumship gifts, but for protection, not to open them up to any kind of communication. Yeah, and then kind of in my 30s, that happened again. And then I was, I'm 44 now, so I was 41 when I would say like I've had multiple spiritual awakenings that led me to this work. The most pivotal one, I would say, before this one was when my mother passed away. So my mother passed away 10 years ago, 2016, and she has really been she's like my protector. She's my spiritual protector on the other side, and she's really helped me unlock those gifts immediately from the moment that she passed away. The way that we were able to connect and talk, and the way that she showed up in other people's life that were around me and giving me messages about my gifts really had helped me feel more confident that this time around, like once they really started to unlock, that I felt so grounded because I was already doing a lot of the work that psychic mediumship stuff has done. And I think I've shared this with you, even when I do teachings or I train rather with other teachers and other gifted people that have been doing this for a long time. I've already known, like I already know the trainings. I already been doing the work because I've already been connecting like directly. So when my mother passed away, and also I don't think I shared with you the reason why I was also having health issues was because I had done about 6 rounds of IVF. So I had a lot of like hormones in my body, which ended up flaring up and like having me go into like perimenopause and like having my fibromyalgia flare up. And there was a moment that I was like, why? Like I was angry. I was like so angry. Like I can't have children. My mother is passed. Like why is this happening to me? Why can't I have a lineage back or a lineage forward to look forward to? And my guides were like, because like I was like, I don't have a spiritual mentor. I don't have a mother. Like who do I go to for guidance is what I was kind of coming to. And they were like, well, because you're learning directly from us. You don't need anyone. You have everything. And they told me that, and I was like, but yeah, so that's a long answer. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of been the journey of the way that like my psychic mediumship gifts have been like showing up.
Oh, chills listening to you share all of that. Oh my gosh. And I feel like you have such this beautiful divine motherly energy just in everything that you do, whether you're connecting to it or not. I feel that so strongly from you.
Mm,
That is so beautiful. And to have the connection with your mother and spirit so quickly, you hear of it taking so long for certain people to be able to connect at all after a transition. So that just feels, oh, wow, so powerful and beautiful.
yeah, definitely. I'm always thankful for that because I do hear a lot of different stories where people don't connect, and it was just like instantaneously. Like I felt the energy. And she even showed up, like my stepmother is a person who's always been into angels. So ever since I was a little girl, she would talk to me about them, and I already knew I was connected. So her and I had a bond over angels all the time. And when my mother passed, she was in the middle of sending a text message, and her phone, you know how it gives suggestive language? So she was typing, and when she looked down, it was written in Spanish, and it had my mother's first initial and her last name. And in Spanish, it said El Sierra, which my mom's name is Luz, which means light. Sierra duerme means sleep. So it said El Sierra sleeps. And she screenshotted it, like she took a picture of it and she sent it to me. So the little synchronicities that my mom was already dropping to other people, through me. And yeah, it was just beautiful how she's been part of this work.
Oh,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all of that and opening up about your IVF journey too, because I just feel like that's probably such a big piece of your embodiment work as well, and learning to love the body. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot to talk about there
Yeah.
too. But I'm also curious about how mediumship works for you, how things kind of come in and your sort of channel with that.
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure how, like, if your audience speaks about clairs, but just to kind of simplify and speak to it in the clairs. So my strongest clair is clear cognizant. So clear knowing. And usually when I'm connecting through mediumship, I have to catch up to what I'm saying because I don't know what is coming out of my mouth, and I just have to trust it. So that is the strongest one, is like coming out. And then my clairaudience. So I've been a dancer my whole life. I'm big into music. I know we've spoken about like your journey with music as well. And it also comes to me because I love music. They'll like chant like songs to me, or like they'll say different words that'll like activate me. And so the mediumship comes very clearly, and I sense the body, like the past loved one. And usually they're talking to me, and then I'm just like talking, and I'm like catching up to what I'm saying. And they'll give me their name, and it's a lot of evidential mediumship that comes out, even though I've never been trained in evidential mediumship. And yeah, so it's definitely the knowing. And then I also get feelings. So sometimes they'll come to me and I'll get a tingle, or they'll sit in a certain part of my body that I can feel, because I work with the body so much. They show up, and like I can also sense them if something happened to them. Like I can kind of get that sensory feeling. And then all my clairs are strong, and then my clair voyance comes through my dream state. So I get a lot of spirits that come see me in dream state, especially people who've just transitioned, people that I know, they'll come and pop into my dreams. And, because since the age of 5 or 6, I've been astral projecting and like traveling to other dimensions. So I feel like they feel safe to connect with me. And so, yeah, it shows up in many different ways for me as well. But if I'm sitting with a client, I think that's like the strongest part, is the cognizant and the audience. Yeah.
Oh, so cool. You're my first actual medium that I've had on.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so welcome. I love it.
Okay.
And I feel like it's so strong for you too, just having witnessed your work. I feel like you are just so tuned into that realm. It's really powerful to witness.
Thank you.
It's such a
Yeah.
gift.
And like I said, it was like my most scary gift, because I didn't fully understand. Like I understood it, but I didn't fully understand it. And I think you and I have spoken about, ancestrally, also in past lifetimes, the witch wound, or, what we want to talk about, like, and in this lifetime also, my family, my mother lineage has hid from a lot of either hiding to fit in. Like my grandmother moved from Colombia here and was trying to assimilate into a country that wasn't hers, so like hiding like parts of her. My mother hid a bunch of parts of herself. So in this lifetime, there's been that. And I also have gotten past life readings, and I've connected to my guides to fully understand what that means. So it took me a while to even own the word, to
Mm.
even own, like I was saying I was a psychic medium, but I really wasn't fully embodying it to like as of recent. And I feel like it took me a little bit for the embodiment piece to catch up and being like, yes, this is who I am. Like, why am I hiding this part of myself?
Chills. I love that. Can you talk about how that process unfolded where you were able to just embody it and embrace it and own it and
Yeah.
claim that for yourself?
So during the time that I became a Reiki master, so that was 3 years ago now since I've been a Reiki master, I was just doing energy work. And there's a part also with our soul, especially if we're doing this work as a business, right? Because there's some of us that have spiritual gifts that are meant to serve in different functions of the muggle jobs, right? Like we have lawyers and nurses and doctors and all the people that have all these other beautiful spiritual gifts. And then there's some of us that come with these spiritual gifts but are meant to serve the earth with the gifts in order to connect people and bring people more. And that's been my dharma. And when I've done my astrological blueprint, my dharma is connected to my karma, like when the astrologer told me that. So everything that I've learned in this lifetime is to pursue my dharma in my spiritual gifts. So there's that. The mediumship piece, I feel like, so 2 years after I was like already doing psychic and mediumship work in my energy sessions. There was also a part I had to really look as a business and being like, I'm not getting a lot of clients that want
Mm.
energy work from me. And not that I'm a bad healer, because you've witnessed me. I have very strong gifts, and this is not like from an ego thing, but like I know that I come with really strong gifts. But I'm
Very
like,
strong. Yes.
yeah, I'm like, why am I not? And then there was an honest truth of myself being, well, are you fully using all your gifts? 'Cause we have to do self-reflection, right? Like in our offerings and the way that we're showing up in the world. When something is not in alignment, it's not going to fully click, right? So I had to be like,
Hmm.
what is going on? So there was that side from like the more like business perspective, like, why is this happening? The second piece was like, I told the universe finally, was like, okay, because my guides were like, when are you gonna do this? They're really
I love
honest.
it.
They're like, what is going on? Like, you have these gifts, like, obviously free will, right? Like, we have free will as humans to choose to embrace them. But you have so much more abundance, and that will unlock not only just financial abundance, but joy, play, healing, happiness that will come, an overflow of abundance if you choose to walk this path. So in May of last year, and probably January of last year, I was like, fine, fine, I'm gonna do it. And decided to start to create an offer. And again, I was never formally trained through a human, but I've been trained in past lifetimes and a bunch of lifetimes and through my guides. So they're like, you're ready. Like, you don't need anything. So I started to create it. And finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to create an offering. And as soon as I put the offering out, the same day somebody booked.
Wow.
And literally, this was a year ago now. May of last year was my first psychic mediumship reading. Like, and then
That's
that's a,
huge.
yeah. So I don't do tarot, um, but I do oracle cards because I'm way more intuitive. And I think I shared, I studied human behavior and I studied patterns, and I also love symbology. So I love oracle cards because they allow you to explore those pieces, right? So I started doing oracle readings. And as I was doing the readings, they were like, you don't need the cards. Even they're like, you don't need the cards, just connect with us. So I started to blend in Reiki energy, along with my psychic mediumship gifts and then the oracle cards. And then along that path, um, I was already channeling. I was already channeling at home by myself. And my guides are like, you're ready. Like, you're ready to weave that into your offering. So my offering, it's similar, and that's the reason why I loved the course that we're taking together, because she offers her readings similar to what I was already doing, which was channeling, mediumship, and psychic stuff, right? So I decided to say, I'm going to put this offering out, but I wasn't owning psychic medium. Like, inside, my body was like, like it would curl up when I thought of like saying I'm a psychic medium. But I started to wear the hat. Because if we know anything about embodying that other part, you have to walk the steps. So my nervous system needed a slower pace. So I just started with the offering first, and then the clients started to come. And then as the clients would come, and then I started to take development courses, right? Like at that point. But I allowed myself to step into it very slowly. And I think that's also good because there was a part of me that was like, oh, like why don't, like I want to, like, there's moments where you're like, I wish I went viral, or I wish I went like whatever, like on socials or whatever. And my nervous system's like, no, this is your journey, this is your pace, like you just are moving slowly. So this was May of last year. December, something happened with me that my guides were like put a mirror in front of me and were like, you're saying that you're doing this work, but are you really embodying this work? And I was like, fine. I love alchemy work. I am a Pisces sun, Sag rising, and Virgo moon. So I have a lot of healer codes and philosophy codes. So, and like my eighth house is in Scorpio. I'm like, give me all this, like the dark stuff, like, and face myself. I love facing myself. So I was like, fine, okay. But I did a lot of, so I went and saw my Reiki healer, and I went and saw a few other people because I was having an identity crisis with it. So I wasn't fully embodying it. Literally, when I was in the hospital a couple months ago, which you know about that, yeah, I had to remove my organ, one of my gallbladder, which is connected to our solar plexus, which is connected to our power, to our voice, to our identity. That was an initiation. And I think that's so from December, then I had the surgery in February. It was like tickling, like, and then I ended up having, right before I did this, I did a retreat for people. Right before this retreat, this was only a couple weeks ago, I officially said, I am a psychic medium, but like embodying it to the world and to the universe. And the way I'm showing up, the way that things are aligning, the way that it's just like on a different level. And I would just say trusting the journey, trusting it, even though it felt like timeline, like in our humanness, the timeline felt slow, but yeah, it felt right on time.
That is so beautiful and just such a needed reminder for all of us to listen to our body and trust the timing. And it's so empowering and inspiring too, how you're seeing this past version of yourself a little bit too. Like, okay, she knew she had to get to this place and it was time, but giving yourself the grace through the steps to get there.
Yeah,
So beautiful
yeah,
and
thank
inspiring. Yeah. And
you.
I'm so happy that you're claiming it, like fully owning it, because you are, ever since I've connected with you. So in
Yeah,
before, I feel like in every lifetime. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
oh, I love
Thank you.
that.
Thank you for witnessing that. Because like I said, it's just like I'm like waving my flag, like, hi, I'm a psychic medium, this is me. And it just feels so good to be able to fully like step into that. So yeah, I've like felt like that journey took a lot of even doing the healings and doing identity work, and like I worked with a few people to like get through that. It comes to a place where you have to surrender to yourself, really, because we're the ones that
Mm.
hold ourselves back from sometimes our greatness. Yeah.
Oh, I feel like this is a personal lesson. My soul needed to hear this.
Good, I'm glad.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I'd
absolutely.
love to talk about your journey with channeling too, and just wanting to shout out our teacher, Mary Grise. That's the class that we're in, and yeah.
I love channeling. It's interesting. Everybody has their own unique way of doing that. And also part of the realization for me, also taking the mediumship and psychic stuff, is understanding, which we've spoken about like my ancestral lineage. And my family is from Colombia. We have a lot of indigenous roots and a lot of indigenous tribes. They don't separate their gifts like the way that we do here in America. There's not like a psychic and a medium and a channeler and all these things. It's like the seer, and it's like the medicine woman, and it's like all these different things. So I felt like I had to honor that, like, even when I've gotten past life readings, I've come through as an indigenous elder that saw things and used my voice. And even in my astrological chart, even in human design and astrology, my voice is set to set my frequency out. So it helps unlock pieces of me. So channeling for me felt easy and hard for different things. So one, I grew up having dyslexia, but mind you, I was like an honor student. But like everything in my life that I've always been a challenge, I've always met it and like I'm going to beat this thing. This thing, I don't have any limitations. Like whatever it is I have, I'm gonna face it and conquer it. And I feel like channeling felt once I realized what I was doing, felt very easy. I was going into these deep states. I've been meditating for over 20 years. And so I was already channeling with my guides, self aware, like to myself. But then when I was with my clients, I was noticing that this higher stream of consciousness would just take over me and wanted to communicate information. So my channeling, everybody channels, some people channel galactic beings or like other things. And I feel like it changes every so often depending on what guides I'm working with. But I'm always working with the divine feminine. Like I've always have worked with divine feminine guides, so they always come through me a lot. Recently, it's been Mother Mary, it's been Mary Magdalene, Isis in the past, and specifically higher consciousness, even connected to just source directly. So that's what I'm channeling for the most part. So so that felt very easy to do, surprisingly. Like I had no resistance with how the information wanted to come through. I did, when you're channeling, sometimes you question, like, am I making this up? Like,
Totally.
the human brain comes in, you're like, am I making this up? And I realized I wasn't, as you're channeling, and even I'm the first medium on here, getting feedback is so important, because it helps ease the monkey mind that wants to, and also our nervous system and our brain is always asking for evidence, unfortunately, because it's trying to keep us safe, right? So it's like always giving it evidence. So sometimes for me, also reflection is really important. So asking for feedback, I think, helped me that more into owning my channeling. I don't know if that's what you were asking, because you're asking about channeling specifically overall, but yeah, I think that's kind of like where my channeling. So I started channeling probably out to the public about over a year ago. So I would go on lives and channel in in a different kind of more higher consciousness and just kind of universal wisdom is what I want to say. And as of a couple of days ago, I finally, my Mother Mary was like, you need to channel for Mother's Day. I channeled a Divine Mother for Mother Mary specifically, and that just felt really beautiful, to be able to do that in that way. Yeah.
I have chills again. I feel like it's so beautiful that you're invulnerable to put yourself out there like that. And I have just had the honor of witnessing social media, some of what you're sharing, and it's so just I'm so inspired by you, how you're sharing, and you share such beautiful wisdom and messages. And yeah, it's brave to be able to do that, and just wanting to clap for you for that. I love it.
I remember a couple years ago that I went to go see a psychic in Sedona. Actually, in this 4 month period that I took off after I got my Reiki 1 and 2, I went to Sedona after meeting with Jules. I flew from New Jersey to go to California, and one of the things that she told me, she knew, she's like, your mother passed. She was a very strong psychic. She's like, you don't have any children, but you're meant to mother yourself, and you're meant to mother, like, you're meant to mother people. And I didn't understand that because was just stepping into the journey. And you know at the end of the day, like, witnessing parts of yourself when you really want to, like, yearn. And I want to say this, preface, like, motherhood can come in so many different ways, right? Like, biologically, obviously, is the sense, but there's adoption, but there's also my nieces and nephews and mothering. So having Mother Mary, I also got a past life regression done. I don't know if I shared that with you, where I came back as Mother Mary back in September.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the Divine Mother energy felt very, it keeps me grounded. Yeah.
Mm.
And also my North Node is in Cancer, who is the Divine Mother.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
embracing my new term for motherhood. Yeah.
Mm. Oh,
And like
that's
allowing
so
that
beautiful.
to information to be channeled through me for those who need to hear it.
Wow. That is
Mhm.
so beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that you mentioned it grounds you as well. I wanted to ask about how you stay grounded doing all of this work and going, I feel like so often I'll sit and meditate and I'm like not here in my body, and how do you bring that into your life?
Yeah. It's interesting because I always feel like, astrologically speaking, my Pisces sun and my Virgo moon are always like, they're also sister signs. So they're always like, the Pisces sun is very about the cosmos and like up in the ethers, and then the Virgo's earth, right? So, movement for me has been my greatest love, dance specifically. Even before I can even walk, my mother and my family would say I would just pick myself up as like a 6 month old and just like dance to whatever music. So dancing for me is one of the ways that I like, the first way that I ground, is being in my body, dancing, expressing, moving the energy, moving my emotions through my body has been a beautiful way for me to do it. Grounding outside in the grass for me, I love nature. I love just being in nature at all times. I love traveling. And I want to throw it out there, especially for a lot of like new age spirituality or psychic mediums. Being in my humanness grounds
Mm.
me. Because sometimes, like, a lot of people want to just stay in that psychic, medium, or like just in the ethers. But I love this human experience. Like everything that I do in my 5D consciousness, everything that I do out there in the ethers is to live this life in the fullest way. So I also think being myself grounds me. And even just owning all those things about myself grounds me, because I'm just more myself. The more that I can be myself, the more that I can like be in my body, and owning all parts of myself. So yeah, I think those are some
Wow.
of the ways that I ground. Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. And the way that you talk about being yourself and embracing it. And I think, forget what you said. It was like the humanness, coming back to the humanness, and
Yeah,
how often we forget that that's what we're here to experience. And
exactly.
oh,
Yeah,
I love
we're
it.
here to experience this human experience that people forget about, and people try to disconnect from. But yeah, I think that's it. And also, like, I think you and I've spoken about this. We're two fours, right? So the two is the
Yeah.
challenge, the four is the network or your family. That's the other way I ground, is being around people and like reminding me of joy and reminding me of love and reminding me of those things. Especially because our world is beautiful and complex and horrible at the same time.
I love the realness. Thank you for that. It's so refreshing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like living all the pieces that we're supposed to live. Yeah.
Hmm. I'd love for you to talk about embodiment as well. I know you have something very exciting coming up around this. So I'd love if you want to share a little bit about that, or if it's too soon, feel free to hold off. But
Yeah. No, it's I so I'm going to be offering a body-based way for us to connect to our intuition and connect to self-trust. And I can't wait to, like, I'm still playing around with the name a little bit, but it is about our body's wisdom. It's about what innately comes to us, because I'm not sure what your experience has been, but my experience, especially because I've had so many health issues my whole life, has always come back to my body, and my body remembering trauma and my body remembering things. And the more that I've been able to love my body and connect with different parts of my body, even through Reiki, and when we think about the chakra system and all of our energy centers that are connected to different glands and different organs and stuff like that, the more that you can come back to your body and clear as best as possible, because we're human at the end of the day, the more that you're able to lift the fog away, and you can listen to yourself and your inner knowing and your inner wisdom and your intuition. And for those of us who are psychic mediums and channel and want to do this work, the clearer that you can acknowledge your body and not just acknowledge, yes, I've been meditating, I will preach, I will die on the hill talking about meditation and how good it is for us. But if you're also like living too much there and you're not like in actually what's going on here, it disconnects you. Like, so I do a lot of mind body connection. So this program will be like a 6 to 8 week journey and allow us to connect back to our inner knowing, our intuition. So there's that offering that's coming very soon, which I'm really excited about. And I think somatic embodiment work is so important to come back to your humanness and come back to the emotions that a lot of us try to run away from. And like I said, I am a love and light person, if you know me, but I am not just a love and light. Like, that's not going to take us to meet all parts of ourselves. I'm about meeting all parts of ourselves, even the parts that feel scary or the parts that feel tender. And I think that's what's so important about embodiment and somatic work and nervous system work, especially as you're upgrading your system to receive new spiritual gifts. So some of us, some of us are coded that we can just like do it, and some of us need a little bit more support, like my journey, that I needed to work on my healing first and self-love and all those things so I can be so grounded in opening up myself to the next iteration of what my spiritual gifts were going to be. So I think that's kind of where the journey is going for that program.
I'm so excited for that. It feels so needed and so right on time for all of us. And yes, I'll put links to your website so people can stay up to
Absolutely.
date with that. And we keep mentioning healing. I'm just wanting to know, like, what does healing mean to you? What has
Hmm.
your journey with that
I
been?
love that. Healing means to me, and like, I think it's an important part of the process. I think healing is also not meant for us to be stuck in a healing loop pattern. Some of us, who have, again, big T, little t, like all sorts of trauma, it's meant for us to come back, what I like to call, instead of, I don't call it shadow work, I call it wholeness work. It really allows us to come back to our full self and like honor all those parts of ourselves, all the inner parts of ourselves that want to be seen and expressed and loved and witnessed. A lot of the times it's just witnessing, those healing, those parts that need to be quote unquote healed. I don't think we're ever fully healed, but I think we can get back to a baseline where we understand ourselves. And when like a trauma or a trigger comes up, you're able to witness yourself in a different way and able to move through life a lot easier with less anxiety and less stress on the body, and just more compassion and love for self, which a lot of times, especially as women, we're not taught to care about ourselves first. We're taught to care for others and what do others think and what do others feel. And most of the time that leads to burnout and a lot of different things that, and people end up turning to healing practices or healing rituals or whatever. So I think healing is so important, and I think it's something that I'm going to always be doing, because as we are growing, we're always going to be met with another part of ourselves that feels sticky or that feels new or challenging. So it's allowing yourself to witness that and being able to move from it, from a place of vulnerability and a place of, I always come back to love. Like, love is the greatest frequency, right? So it's like coming back to love, and just loving yourself, but also allowing that love to transmit to others and like in expansion as well. It's interesting because when I first started my work, I was like, oh, manifesting, which I manifest all the time. As a Pisces sun, my first ruler was Jupiter, and we are expansion, right? But it doesn't say expansion of good, it's expansion of whatever's in your mind. So whether that's good, bad, or ugly, that's what you're going to expand. So I think healing allows you to just really also manifest the life that you want, because it's great if you can manifest all the things, but if you're not healing that part of yourself that doesn't feel safe to have those things, then you're always going to come back down to that. So if that makes sense.
That's so good. All of that. Wholeness work is the most beautiful way to phrase that. Wholeness work over shadow work. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I wanted to talk about this at the beginning, but I just would love for you to give a little overview of your work and the sessions that you offer and kind of your why of why you're doing this too. I feel like we've covered that, but
Yeah, no, that's great.
yeah.
So I currently offer my mentorship program, which is called Embody Your Divinity. And it's a 3 month or a 6 month program to start with. And it's really about meeting women. I support mainly women. Lately, I've been having a lot of men to come to see me, but I know that I'm meant to support the divine feminine in helping women rise up. So I know that's part of my mission here on this earth. So Embody Your Divinity is a program where I help women kind of see those subconscious, I hate using the word blocks, but like those parts of themselves that are holding themselves back from that threshold of that thing that they want to meet. So sometimes women, like I just closed a container today, right before this call, with a woman that I worked with for 3 months, and she just wanted to come back to peace. She wanted to trust herself. She wanted to listen to her intuition. And that was that. I have another client that I'm working with that wants to focus on her business because she doesn't feel like she has the identity that she needs in order to make that business go. So Embody Your Divinity is that program. It's that program to meet yourself fully. And then I also weave in that program my psychic mediumship gifts. I also weave, it's a healing program as well. So depending on where we are in the journey, the next session might be like, okay, I think we really need to tackle this past life or this version of yourself that's feeling like this, but not only from talking about it, not only through coaching and mentorship, but actually in the body. So I'll do some healing Reiki sessions and stuff like that. So that is like the sweetest program. And then for people who want to just maybe not connect with me on that deeper level and just want kind of like a simpler one-off way to connect with me, I do my energy healing sessions, which is a Reiki based session. And then I also do readings where I combine channeling, mediumship, and psychic. And it really depends on the client and what they need. And that is called the Oracle Within. And the reason why it's named that is because we are all our own oracles, and I'm just there to be a mirror for the information that wants to come through. And the last one is called Soul Alchemy. So I combine Reiki with the reading. So what we'll do is we'll move through a reading first, and depending on what shows up, what intuitively, what my guides, what your guides are saying, we end up doing a healing session to heal that, because I've noticed a lot, and that's my sweet spot. I love that one from all the 3 points of those smaller entryways, because I'm able to go deeper with someone. And that's really where my work lies, is really to go deep. I noticed that, I don't know if you felt this in some of your readings, that I'll do a reading and people leave like they don't know what to do with that information, or they don't know how to process that energetically, or it's like still sitting in their aura somewhere. So that allows me to go a layer deeper to help support them energetically so they can feel a little bit more whole, their nervous system, their higher self, all the different parts of yourselves that shows up to that reading feel supported. And that is called Soul Alchemy. And then I do events. I do local events. I just moved to a new area, so I haven't done any events here yet. But for the past 3 years, I've been building a lot of community where I was living. And I also build community online. So I host virtual events as well. I do a free monthly virtual event called Inner Alchemy. And that's where I weave in a guided meditation. I usually theme it depending on what's going on with the moon. I work with the moon a lot. I work as a cyclical being. So, and then we weave, I do some Reiki, and then we'll do some like readings and some body grafts. And that's my free event that I offer up to the collective. It's a pay what you can. And I do that as my way to give back, because I feel like this work needs to be accessible to everyone at any point. It's also a way for me to grow my community. So I think it's a good way for people to understand the work that I'm doing and come into my world. But at the end of the day, that's just really my collective offering. So there's many different ways to connect with me. And then obviously my website has a bunch of free resources there. So I have like meditation guides. I'm looking to follow your journey, Meredith. You have such beautiful meditations on Insight Timer. I think that's in my near future of building up the library. But I'm on YouTube. I have my podcast is on there, and then Instagram and all the things, of resources of how I work with people and connect with people that way as well.
I love that. You put so much out there. It's so good, everything that you're sharing. And
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like people could just scroll back or like randomly scroll and find something where it's then a message meant for them. So
exactly. Yeah.
I'll share all of that below.
Wonderful.
Then a few more little questions
Yeah.
before we wrap up. I just wonder if you have any kind of like wow moments that you might want to share from readings or sessions, whether for yourself with a connection or something memorable from a session.
I have so many. I would say a recent one, especially because I'm gonna say a mediumship one because I'm like your first medium on your podcast, which that's really exciting. Especially for any mediums who are developing their skill and like learning to trust themselves. Um, I think when a name comes through and it's like, hey, who is so and so? And the person's like, yeah, that is my grandfather or my grandmother. I think those moments light something up in me that, as a medium, because I'm like, okay, this is really real, and I'm offering, a lot of times I hear from this work that we are offering healing to that human that experienced grief from like losing that, loved one in their life. So for me, that's always like a wow moment that I'm able to reconnect that person to someone that they love so much, earthside. So those moments for me, especially for me as someone who connected with my mom as soon as she passed, like I feel like, okay, this is the reason why we do this work. You asked me my why. I didn't even say that earlier. The why is that. The why is bringing you back to your wholeness. The why is connecting people to their past loved ones who they experience so much grief, with the passing of their loved ones, and reminding them that they're still there. The why is to allow you to remember, right? Because we come with amnesia into this earth, and we're just allow if I can be a part of your remembering of something that your soul needed to hear, like what you just said to me before, that I was like, wow, okay, like your soul needed to hear that. That is my why. So those are the moments for me that always I cherish and love so much. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And that's for me too, really why I got into mediumship because losing my dad at a young age and then when experiences started to happen, it was like, oh, that's the most healing thing that I could have never found that personally in therapy or anything like that. It was,
Feels,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I'm
Yeah,
on that path
I didn't
too.
know that. Okay, that's beautiful share. Yeah, thank you for that. And
Yeah.
we didn't even realize like, psychic mediumship is also healing work,
Hmm.
right?
So
Like, it's
healing.
so healing.
Yeah. It's
I,
just like one little thing could be the most healing, one validation is all you need.
yeah, exactly. And then the other big wow for me is channeling, like what when you and if I can share a little bit, like our session.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I channeled in Mary Magdalene and was sharing all this stuff with you, and you like started showing me things that were right like by you, and like you were crying and like all these things, like those moments like that, I'm like, okay, like I'm also channeling something a little bit higher that, again, we all have different beings and people we work with, but that I'm able to channel also these. I think what's a big wow is these ancient beings that were also earth side. I love that. Like
So
it's,
cool.
yeah, like I think I've shared with you, I've channeled like the Palladians, but like that's just for more my inner stuff. Like they've spoken to me, but my work is usually channeled by people who were earthside, like, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, like Buddha's come to me, like all these different ascended masters that have lived in this human body, and I'm able to share that information. I feel like it helps a lot of the humans connect a little bit more with their humanity, not only their matter, but that they're also spirit.
Mm.
So we are a combination of spirit and matter, because without our spirit, we're dead. We're literally just dead.
It's so cool. Yeah. And just back to the Mary Magdalene connection, that was so profound for me because that was kind of early on and when I was really feeling this connection to her and I had like the book sitting right
I didn't know
beside me and all of this stuff and it was this wild, yeah, validation for me that her presence was there and
that. Thank you for
so
sharing that.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Well, you just sharing this with me for the first time, so I appreciate that feedback. It's beautiful. So these are the moments that I'm like, okay, like this was healing for you. This was a confirmation for you. This is whatever your soul needed to hear that she was close to you. Like those are the moments for me that I'm like, okay, removing my ego aside, like I'm able to be, sometimes, especially, not sure if a lot of your listeners are practitioners, is that something that a friend of mine told me the other day was like, Jessica, spirit comes so easy to you. Like, you don't realize that, like, that's not something that everybody has, and kind of like allowing myself to also witness that part of myself, that like, yes, I am spirit led but I'm also a human, and like I always say, I'm not above or below anybody. Like we all have access to these things, but it's like a muscle. We have to practice. We can't go to the gym and expect a six pack if we've never been to the gym a day in our life. Like these spiritual gifts are also that. They're meant to be shared. They're meant to be practiced, and they're meant to be refined. Yeah, and either your connection directly, like I've learned everything directly connected to my guides, and then I've met beautiful humans who are just grounding me further into the work.
I love that so much. My next quick question, which none of them are really quick, I guess, but was what's the best advice you've ever received? And intuitively, I'm like, I feel like it's probably just directly from something from spirit that
Yeah,
you've received.
yeah. Yeah, I would say so, yeah, as well. I think one of the ones that, because one of the epidemics that is in this world is loneliness. And just like humans think, not humans, some humans are very lonely. But one of the things that Spirit told me, was like, you're never alone.
Mm.
You're never alone. We are always here. You just have to call us forward. You just have to, and sometimes you don't. Like sometimes they just talk to me like all day and I'm like, bro, like
Chill.
chill for a second. Like it's a lot of information, okay? Like my signal's really on. Like I'm just tapping down. So I feel like just reminding each and every listener that you are never alone. Like call your spirit guides forward, your team, your angelic beings, whomever it is that you're working with, your sacred ancestors. Your ancestors want to work with you. They want to support you because the more that you can activate your spiritual gifts, the more that you get to do the things that they didn't get to do because it's in our DNA in this lifetime, right? And then also, if you believe in past lives, which I think, if you're on the listening to this podcast, I'm sure that you believe in that. But the more that you can activate those gifts that people weren't able to do, so you get to be a beautiful reflection of that work where you are not only healing your ancestral lineage and your future lineage, but you're also healing your clients. You're also healing the people who are listening to this podcast, your friends, your family, and it creates this beautiful ripple effect where you can really touch so many people on so many different levels.
I love that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one more before I keep having new ones pop in where I'm like, I have these couple of quick ones, but what would you say to the woman or soul, whoever, who feels like they're in this maybe corporate job, but they feel their soul wants them to go somewhere else?
Oh, listen, like your
Mm.
soul is gonna keep nudging you, and it's going to you're going to keep repeating probably the same patterns either at work or in your life, until you choose to step in. And again, all of us are not meant to do this work in the way that you and I are doing it. Some of us are meant to be in corporate positions because you're leading your intuitive gifts and your spiritual gifts in making humanity better in that sector, whether it's finance, home, real estate, fashion, whatever it is, like you're meant to serve that way. So if that's the way your spiritual gifts are calling you to, listen. But if you are like myself, who are supposed to support people, take baby steps, listen, or if you have the nervous system and the resources to jump all in, obviously, like, but listen, like, allow yourself to take the appropriate steps that you need to feel grounded and to make that move, because you're doing yourself, not only are you doing yourself a disservice by not being authentically yourself, you're disservicing all of humanity by keeping your gifts locked up.
Ooh,
So, yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then, do you have a favorite quote or something you tell your younger self or just any sort of message here?
So I have a quote, and I have so many. I love quotes, by the way, but my mother just popped in because I have it tattooed right here. It's
Aw.
in Spanish.
Mm,
And my husband and I got this matching tattoos like maybe a year after she passed. We got them done in
mm.
Mexico.
I love that.
And is and it says in Spanish, "Échale ganas a la vida," and something my mother would always say, and it means give life your all.
Mm,
And I just feel like even I have tattooed here, where are we? It says magical life, but in Spanish, it says vida mágica. So like give life your all, whatever that is for you, like, and trust yourself, trust that you are, sticking to your values, that you're um, living life in joy, and also living life in your tenderness and the things that may come your way that are not pleasant. And yeah, like give life everything that you can. Like we only have one life and we never know when it'll be our last breath. So yeah.
mm. Oh, chills again. Thank you.
Yeah,
This is so beautiful, and I feel like we could do a part two and
I
three because
know.
there are so many other things that I had on my list to touch on, but
I know we can talk for
this was so
hours. You
beautiful.
and I.
We really can. Yeah. So I know we've kind of mentioned where people can find you, but your Instagram is
Yeah.
Jessica Diana Soul. I think there's a dot before the soul.
Exactly. And soul meaning the sun. So it's SOL, not like SOUL.
Mm,
So it's Jessica Diana SOL. Soul. That's pretty much everywhere across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can find me the same way. And then my website is jessicadiana.com.
perfect. I will link everything. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to connect this way and share. And thank you for all of this wisdom
Yes.
and your light and your beautiful soul. I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. And I'm excited for we're doing a session on Saturday. So I'm so excited to receive from you on Saturday. And
Yes, thank you. I'm
yeah,
excited for that as well. And I just want to thank you for making space for my story. All of our stories matter. So I just thank you for allowing me to use this space to really allow people to come back to themselves. As your podcast is like all of the above, right? It's all of the below and all of the things, right? Like everything.
mm.
So yeah, thank you.
Aw, thank you. It was such an honor. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of All the Above. I hope you found some wisdom, insights, remembrances within yourself, and I hope you remember how beautiful and divine you are, and that you have so much to offer and bring to this world. And your gifts are so needed. You're so needed exactly as you are. And with that, if I haven't said it yet, I want to send you so much love and light. And thank you so, so much for being here. I hope you have the most magical day, and I will see you soon. Bye.